I want to welcome my dear friend who's got a heart of gold and is my inspiration, Ruth Bachman.
I describe cancer as the narrow spot in an hourglass, and I'm the sand. I've traveled from the top through that tight spot to the bottom, the same sand, but with a different arrangement. All change represents loss of one kind or another, good, bad, or ugly. It all represents loss of one kind or another. And it requires attention, at least conscious acknowledgement, if not grieving to some degree or another. Grieving the loss of a dream or a goal, of a loved one, of a body part, of a position at work or in the community, of a prized possession. The list goes on. Grieving is a process of discovery and surrender and integration. There is no roadmap with which to travel. There is no neat progression from one stage to the next, but what the experts do agree upon is if you do not grieve a loss, it will wait for you. It's not going to just dissipate and disappear. Grieving well the loss of anyone or anything is a spiritual skill worth developing. When you are confronted with a narrow spot of any kind, name it, talk about it, and gather information. That information will come from a variety of sources because narrow spots affect all 5 dimensions of life. In fact, there's a 6th one, that relationship one that I hadn't had on my list. I don't have 6 fingers though, so I have to keep 5. Cognitive, behavioral, spiritual, emotional, and physical. So seek out advice and comfort and resources from a variety of places, trusted friends and family, healing practitioners from a variety of modalities, therapists, a spiritual leader. And remember that wisdom has no age requirement. I have a very wise 9-year-old in my life. Very wise. She's my role model for resilience. My granddaughter, born 9 months after my surgery. I spent 9 months worrying about how I was going to be the grandmother that I always thought I was going to be. How was I going to change diapers? How was I going to play patty cake? How was I going to do sign language? How was I going to make French braids in a little girl's hair? And a dear friend said, that baby's going to make room for you the way that you are. That baby was born after having a thalamic brain hemorrhage, and she has compromised use of her right side. Together, we make a perfect pair of hands. Since the age of 4, Amy has experienced epileptic seizures, which we always knew would be a possibility and hoped would never become a reality. This little girl has undergone brain surgery, way too many EEGs, and has deep brain stimulation. Her seizures are basically under control, mostly with the medication that she takes. In everything that she has gone through, she cries and she screams and she hollers, and when it's done, life goes on. It's all she's known, that's true. But to look at this and have that assurance that life goes on. And it's so worth living. I have been told that I make life as an amputee look easy. I can assure you that life is not and has never been easy for me. I've experienced numerous narrow spots. I've made a list and I won't be sharing it with you now. My narrow spots have been positive and negative. They have included crisis and disaster. They have occurred by accident and design. And in my response to them, I have stumbled more often than I have succeeded, and I am not ashamed to say so. I do not have the answers Did you see that other set of quotation marks? The answers. For anyone, myself or anyone. There are so many questions that go unanswered. Poet Rainer Marie Rilke wrote, "Be patient toward all that is unresolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves. Do not seek the answers which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them." And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. And perhaps someday, far in the future, without even knowing it, you will live your way into the answers. We seem to give and receive answers a little bit too quickly from time to time, most often because we want to get rid of that pain or trouble or sorrow or suffering or whatever it is. Just give me a pill to get over it, okay? But often we need to learn what it is that life has to teach us. And it is very often going through the narrow spot that occurs. When your sand goes through the narrow spot, it is refined and redefined, in addition to giving you a new arrangement. And it is in that refined and redefined sand that we very often find out things about ourselves that we didn't know were there before. And by paying attention to them, the next time our hourglass is overturned, and it's going to happen again, we have those resources that we discovered in the last time. In the Shaker hymn, "To turn, turn will be my delight, for in turning, turning, we come round right."